The Denver Nuggets suffer a heartbreaking loss to the Dallas Mavericks at Dallas. Both teams are coming off of a back-to-back. Dallas lost to New Orleans Pelicans the night before, so they're coming in from New Orleans. Denver is coming in from Denver, which is a longer flight, but still no excuse. Denver, once they made their halftime adjustments, it was still pretty okay. Well, first of all, they had a bad first half. But first half was just really bad. There were some defensive schemes that I feel like DA and Dudley tried to implement in that first quarter, and try to see what would work, try to see, where their weaknesses were. And it didn't work because they really just didn't have any. For the Mavs, I mean, the Mavs, they really just played fabulous this entire game, especially Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag had his most efficient game tonight. He scored 33 points on 66.7 or 67% efficiency. When he got his 40 piece against Utah about a week and a half ago, he wasn't even that efficient in that game. He wasn't anywhere near efficient. And I think he scored like 40. He was like 40 something percent efficient. Not considering true shooting. This is just field goal percentage. But to score 33 points off of 67 field goal percentage is insane. I want to say if AG were playing in this game, and if AG, of course, AG will be playing on Cooper Flag. Maybe Coop, I want to say he'll probably be held to about 25. He'll still have a great game, but I don't think he would get the 33 that was so easy for him to get off this entire game. And I mean, like from the jump. It started, Spence had the assignment on Cooper Flag. And I think more so Peyton had the assignment on Ryan Nembhard. Peyton usually is, the one responsible for guarding the best guard on the team. And Spence, at this point, without AG, is the one responsible for guarding the stronger point guards. The stronger forwards and maybe even centers. So we've seen them both in this about 28 game run so far. We've seen Peyton and Spence be very successful in guarding some very, very, very top 50, players in the league, and just kind of be successful with it, So in this game, to see them, you're playing not just with Cooper Flag, you're playing with Anthony Davis as well. And then I want to say in the second quarter, and then more so in the second half, you're playing with Gafford as well. And we'll get into that later. But in the first quarter, like, they just had no answer for Cooper Flag at all. Spence, he got caught ball watching. Cooper Flag was really just out. He was just stronger than him and was just able to get him back on his heels, get whatever space he wanted. He was shooting really well too. They were giving him space, even like in zone. They were giving him a lot of space. You know how Denver does when they over rotate on the ball, whoever's in that post, or the weak side post, they're like over rotating, or I'm sorry, weak side corner. They're like over rotating into the post. And it's just no point in doing that when you are guarding the player with the hot hand. If you can clearly see, if y'all go on a 12-2 run, and you can clearly see in the first quarter, Cooper Flag is the person, not even just in the first quarter, but the first half of the first quarter, you can see Cooper Flag is the one with the hot hand. You can't afford to just offer him up a lot of space, because the point of rotating when you're in zone, even when you're on weak side, is that you want to offer the illusion of taking up space. You want to offer the illusion of there being a lot of bodies from what the ball handler can see. But if you're leaving wide open the player with the hot hand, that doesn't help if the other team can just quickly move the ball around, or just quickly pass to them or move the ball around the perimeter, get the ball to them, and then you don't have enough time to close out because you done forgot about them because you're just ball watching. Denver did a lot of ball watching tonight, and I just don't know, like, I don't know how it keeps happening. I don't know how it keeps happening. I don't know what conversations they're having about just being aware and cognizant of, you can be aware of where the ball is, but you just also need to know where your person is. And you also need to make sure to station yourself between your person and between the basket. So you can position yourself in between your person, that's either your man or in your zone, and the basket, and still look away where you can have both of them in your peripheral, or just, move your head side to side real quick. 1 second you're here, okay, ball there, person's over here, but you have to keep tabs on where your person is, whether you're in zone or man. And they struggle with that all night, especially with Coop and especially with AD, because there were plays where, like, if Nimhard's bringing the ball up, he could pass it to Coop. Coop's just so big, man. He's so big and so strong that um, he could drive in and then they would rush to try and cover him because Denver doesn't have the size or strength on their side. And they would just like leave AD wide open under the basket. So especially the late first quarter going into that second quarter, where you start to kind of implement the second unit more, they had Bruce guarding Cooper Flag, bro. Well, first of all, I'm sorry. They had the plan was to double team AD. Their plan was to double team AD. That kind of allows them to, when you're double teaming, that means you're going to leave somebody wide open. So they're kind of picking and choosing who they want to leave wide open, who's not going to knock down those open shots when they double AD. And that just didn't work because whether it was Marshall, whether it was, I think, what was his name? Hardy? Yeah, Hardy. Whether it was Marshall, whether it was Hardy, whether it was Williams, they were making their shots. They were making their shots. And if it wasn't shooting, they were making their floaters. They were driving to the basket. So even when they were forced to drive to the basket, Denver's defense just didn't have the footwork, didn't have the awareness, didn't really have the anything to contest anything at the basket. And so even when they're double teaming AD, Dallas is still getting whatever they want. Going into the second quarter was better. Denver actually won the second quarter 29 to 24. Denver actually won that second quarter 29 to 24. So, I'm sorry, 25. So there's better defense being played. They, in the first quarter, they lost it badly, 41 to 27. But second quarter, they were able to hold it to 25. Second quarter was better. However, you introduced that second unit, and Bruce Brown is the one responsible to guard Cooper Flag. And Bruce Brown is about half of Cooper Flag's size. I understand, Bruce has grit, he has tenacity, he likes to be a menace on defense, he likes to be a pest. However, even he knew just from his body language and his facial expressions, Cooper Flag was too much for him. Cooper Flag could essentially get whatever he wanted. Cooper Flag could essentially, get whatever he wanted. Yeah, he still scored 8 points in the second quarter. Still can get whatever he wanted, whether it was Spence guarding him, whether it was Bruce guarding him, whether they're double teaming. They just didn't have an answer for him. And I just kind of felt bad. Who is in that second lineup? Who is in that second unit that could guard Spence and like really nobody. I was disappointed that they didn't play Zeke Naji tonight because you're clearly losing just with Cooper Flag and AD being the top two players on the team. You're clearly losing the strength and physicality and athleticism battle. And I was disappointed because Zeke didn't play in this game at all. And I feel like the second quarter would have been the right time to get Zeke involved, especially when you see Coop just scoring over Bruce over and over again, beating Bruce off the dribble from the pick and roll over and over again. Even beating Peyton, that comes in the second half. But I was just really, really disappointed Zeke got no minutes in this game because it's just like, you already getting blown out. You know what I mean? And then props out to Denver, especially Jamal and Tim Hardaway, because they were keeping Denver in this game. Yoke got more active in the second half as he usually does. Let's see here. Val had a few shots in the second quarter. But for the most part, Jamal scored 14 points in that second quarter, which I love. I just love him. I just love watching him play at point guard because the way he can just run a full circle around the court and just have everybody chase him and then just kind of get whatever layup he wants. Jamal probably has the best layup package in the league. If we can say that Shai Gilgeous has the best mid-range package, mid-range jump shot in the league, Jamal has to have the best layup package in the league. So yeah, that they were able to, let's see here. And in the second quarter, it got to a point where it's just like they had a freaking like 20-point lead or a 21-point lead. And yeah, that was a disastrous first quarter. They do better in the second quarter. However, it's not enough to really pack a punch. Third quarter is when Tim, Yoke, Jamal, they go off. Shout out to Tim. Tim really wanted this game. You can tell in his body language. You can tell in his facial expressions. He was ready for anything, and them shots were raining. Tim, let's see, just in the third quarter alone. Well, no, let's do overall. Overall, Tim shot 8 for 13 and 7 of 12 from 3. So it was great to see him kind of keep us in this game along with Jamal because I was getting worried like, okay, Jamal can't do it all by himself. Yoke was struggling to get involved. And even going back to the first quarter, you can tell that Yoke was just real irritated and frustrated because the defensive schemes that the coaching staff had them run, like they just weren't working. They weren't working. Nothing was working. And he was just getting frustrated himself. You'll hear JJ Barea talk about, oh, we just didn't come out with enough energy. This is like, no, y'all's plays didn't work. They didn't work. It didn't matter what energy that they applied to it. They just didn't work. Jonas Valanciunas in the second quarter, not just in the second quarter, but overall, Jonas Valanciunas, he has an issue playing defense on the pick and roll. He doesn't really contest anything when he has to participate in guarding the ball handler off the pick and roll. He just immediately drops back and doesn't contest anything. And he does that over and over again. It's just like, come on, bro. Like, you're giving them space just to get whatever shot they want off. And that happened a few times as well. The third quarter is where everything changes. The third quarter, Jamal, Tim, Yoke gets active, and Yoke had 10 points in that third quarter. Jamal and Yoke, they just start running their two-man game. Uh, Tim Tim has four. Tim was 4 for 4 from three in that quarter alone. Oh, and the defensive schemes that didn't work for us in the first half, Dallas starts running those schemes and then it doesn't work for them. So Dallas had a defensive drop off because their game plan was just to double team Yoke. And guess what happened? Cam started to get active because Cam was the one who was getting left open. Cam had 8 points in that third quarter, 2 for 2 from three, on 100%, 8 points on 100% shooting in the third quarter. So Dallas just had a major defensive drop off in the third quarter, which was good for us. Denver also had a defensive drop off in the third quarter because they still allowed Dallas to score 37. Denver scored 47 points. Dallas scored 37. It's unacceptable for both teams, but I mean, hell, we'll take the 47. So Dallas had their defensive drop off. And the game was tied. The game was tied 103 at the end of the third. Start of the fourth, Julian finally gets active. Julian makes a three to start us in the fourth. And it actually gets us the lead for the first time, 106 over 103 or to 103. And from then on, it's just a trade-off. Yoke and Jamal are still running their two-man game. Two-man game with each other. There was a stint where DA chooses to run the double big lineup with Yoke and Val. It did not work. It did not work. To try and, I guess, contain, Coop and AD, it did not work at all. Coop was still getting any shot he wanted. Folk are still not blocking out in the post, so AD is getting whatever dunk he wants. So Dallas chooses to counter with their own two big man lineup of their own with AD and Gafford. And when Dallas first got AD, that was something that I was looking forward to. I was looking forward to seeing that two-man lineup with AD and Gafford because I knew they would play so well together. I just didn't want them to do it against the Denver Nuggets. But DA put the thought in their head, and when DA chose to take Val out because their big man lineup wasn't working, Dallas chose to keep theirs in, and I feel like that's what kind of shut Denver down. I will say for me, the real turning point in this game when Denver started being competitive in the first quarter. Denver had 15 turnovers. Denver had 15 turnovers in general. The Mavs scored 22 points off of turnovers. 6 of those turnovers were in the first quarter. Yoke had 3 of them. Some were his fault, some weren't. Some were just him, anticipating where Cam or where Spence was going to be, and they weren't there. Anticipating them cutting where, to a certain spot, and then they didn't cut to that spot. So Yoke is, throwing the ball out. And then there was just one where Yoke just got the ball poked out his hands. I think by either AD or Marshall. And it was just a great read on their end. And then there were turnovers. There were turnovers because AG, Aaron Gordon, is just greatly missed. I think if AG plays in this game, they win, not by a large margin, but they win. They can contain Cooper Flag, and they can get better passes to Yoke in the paint or just really wherever he needs them, even if it's just outside the paint. Aaron is the best when it comes to passing Nikola Jokic the ball. He's the best at it, even over Jamal. We know that two-man game between Jamal and Yoke reigned supreme, and that's really what stabilized them once they started to get back in the game. A lot due to Tim's efforts and even Bruce efforts. Bruce had a great game offensively. Offensively, Bruce had a great game. He made some very uh, great layups and great shots. He even made a three in this game. Great layups and great shots when they were desperately needed. It was just defensively, he was put in a hard spot that he really just didn't have a fighting chance to uh, counter, you know. But in the fourth quarter, they're really going back and forth, trading the lead, trading shots. Cam goes for a loose ball with Cooper Flag, and poor thing, he lands on his leg too hard, his right leg too hard, and then he's out for the rest of the game. If Cam stays in the game, do we win? Because they, like I said, they were already double teaming Yoke. So then Peyton has to come in. Now Peyton has the assignment on Cooper Flag. It still didn't really do anything because Cooper Flag is just bigger than Peyton, just muscularly, bone structurally. He just has those big, broad shoulders. And he was able to do whatever he wanted to do. I remember I got irritated on one play. This is like towards the end of the fourth. And like Denver, okay, they set up in defense. They set up in half court defense. But Coop is walking the ball up. And I'm just like, y'all, the game is too close for y'all not to be pressing him right now. Because if the roles were reversed, any other team is pressing y'all right now. So I feel like their defense was just a little bit too lax, especially with especially with Cam going out. And it just sucks because it's just like, it just really sucks. Spence didn't play in the fourth at all again. So it's like you're not playing Spence. You don't have AD. You don't have Chris. They even played Curtis Jones in the second quarter. It was just so freaking weird. There was a lineup where you had Yoke, Jamal, Julian, Curtis, and Spence. And it's just like, Curtis is smaller than Jamal. So he tried to hustle, but he couldn't do anything. And I was just like, you got Deron right there. You got Zeke and you got Deron right there. Like, I'm to not play Zeke or Deron. And Deron is a great 3-point shooter. At least he is in the G League. So to just not play Zeke or Deron, but you're going to play Curtis Jones. You're going to play Curtis Jones and you're going to play Julian. I understand you play them because they're scores and you just need points. But it's just like, DA is falling into the same trap of that Malone did in just trusting your offense to make up for what you lack in defense. You're not going to win a championship that way. It's not happening. You have to play defense. If Denver can't find themselves there, I don't know what defense they are today after this Mavericks game. Before the Mavericks game, they were ranked 17th. Let's see here. Before the Mavericks game, they were ranked 17th in defense. It probably done gone down now, or they could still be 17th, whatever. But Denver's not going to win a championship if they can't get their way into that top 15. You're not far. Let's just say they dropped to 18th in defense after this game. It hurts not having AG there. It hurts real bad not having Chris there. It's going to hurt even more not having Cam there. Cam, it's been reported he has a bone bruise. So thankfully nothing's broken, nothing's torn. But he does have a bone bruise in his right knee, and they don't know how much time he's going to miss. Hopefully it's not too much. Clearly he has to rest it. But it's just like, bro, you got your entire middleman out of your starting five. So DA is put in a position, it's like you gotta play Zeke Naji now. If Deron Home doesn't get some legit NBA minutes while Cam is out, I'm gonna be very disappointed. And I'm gonna have to look at him sideways because it's just like, are we still doing the, you know, the Calvin Booth thing where we're just not playing Calvin Booth players, you know, because we just don't F with Calvin Booth, is, you know, kind of like how Malone did with Zeke. You want to play the players that you know can score, but it's just like, y'all lost by one, dude. Y'all lost by one, and you telling me you gonna find time for Curtis Jones, but you can't find time for Zeke. I feel like Zeke would have got some stops on Cooper. I really do. Zeke and Coop have nearly the same build, um, and I think that would have been much better going with Zeke over Val in that double big lineup. Yes, Val is going to get you points more than Zeke will. Zeke is probably going to get you a turnover or two. Um, but it's like, if you can play Curtis Jones, if you can do that double big lineup with Yoke and Val, Zeke should have got a minute in this. He should have at least got a minute. He should have at least got like 3 possessions where you're giving him a chance to see how he can defend Coop. And I feel like he would have walked away with it. There have been times where it's like, I remember when we played Houston last, there was some possessions where I felt like Zeke was playing good defense on KD. When we played the Pelicans last, Zeke was playing good defense on Zion. He just got butterfingers on offense. But your defense is what killed you in this game. Offensively, Denver still had a good night offensively. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean 130, that's above your average. But letting Dallas score 131, it's just unacceptable. Scoring 130 is what is expected of you at this point as the best offense in the league. Letting Dallas, one of the bottom 2 offenses in the league, score 130, that is your issue. And until Denver wants to face the fact that you tried what worked, you tried to see what didn't work in the first quarter, you tried to counter it, that still didn't work, and you don't play the only 2 players on your team that really has the size and the speed with their size to contest anything in Dallas. I was really disappointed in a lot of the coaching decisions in this game. Uh, Cooper Flag, I mean, he played his butt off, dude. You know, I think he was the hardest defensive assignment for definitely the hardest defensive assignment for Bruce. I think he was the hardest defensive assignment for Spence and for Peyton, coming off of that Utah game where they're guarding Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen. I think Spence is still on minutes restriction. He didn't play in the fourth at all. I think, oh yeah, I think the real turning point for Denver in this game for me was when they got their last turnover. Val, he was successful with it one time. He got the ball, turned his back, you know, kind of backed into AD, trying to get close to the basket so he can have that turnaround hook shot. And AD just poked it out his hand from behind, and then Dallas got a made field goal off of that turnover. And for me, that's where we lost the game. For me, we got 15 turnovers. The 15th turnover for me is where that was just like, all right, this is kind of over, even though it came that close. Talking about coming close, you know, there's a lot of conversation about whether Yoke should have took the last shot, should have Peyton have taken the last shot, and it's a great shot for Peyton. You know, more often than not, meaning over 50%, Peyton is knocking down that shot. Tim was also wide open in the corner. Like I said, Yoke and Jamal, they were just running that 2-man game down, especially with Cam being out early in the fourth. They just ran that 2-man game down and it was working. No defense was working. But I feel like if Cam were in that game, I don't think if Cam didn't get hurt, I don't think Peyton would have closed. Tim was also left wide open in the corner. So Peyton was left wide open in the left quarter. Tim was left wide open in the right quarter. You know, Yoke and Jamal playing that two-man game. Uh, Jamal, I feel like when I watched it in real time, I felt like Jamal passed the ball to Yoke too high up in the post. And with the way that they closed in on Yoke, they closed in on him like while he was like really more than like 5 feet away from the basket. So on television, it looks like he's right there. It looks like he's right at the basket. In real life, like he's really not. Like he's really not there. And he would have had to take like 2 steps to get there. Mind you, he's surrounded by the entire Dallas Mavericks team. Uh, and in the direction that Yoke was going, it's a lot easier for him to see Peyton in his peripheral than Tim. And nobody was paying any attention to Peyton. Gafford, I believe, was closing in on Yoke, but he was still at a length where if Yoke would have passed that ball to the right to Tim, he could have deflected it. Nobody was paying any attention. Cooper Flag was on Peyton. He left Peyton. He completely just left Peyton to go guard Yoke. Gafford, he was running towards, like I said, he was running towards Yoke, but he was still at a length where if he wanted, he could have deflected the pass to Tim. So I'm not mad at the shot. You know, Peyton makes that shot more than 50% of the time. And he didn't brick it. He didn't brick it. He didn't airball it. The ball went in and the ball went out. And that's really just what it was. Um, I'm more upset at the coaching staff because they had opportunities to make adjustments that I feel like could have swung this game in their favor. If you're gonna try out all these things, I feel like they could have included Zeke. They could have included Deron. Deron's literally right there. What's the point in bringing him? You know, I understand you kind of got to bring him if you're going to bring Curtis too. Um, and they're of the mindset, well, we want our scores out there. We're just going to beat them offensively. And no, no, you're not. You're not going to win a championship just relying on your offense. Yes, last year I think we had the 21st ranked defense and we made it to game 7 of the second round. But if we're going to go further than that, these jokers got to get in top 15 defense. And they're not far, but I feel like we're putting it too much on the Nuggets players that they need to play defense. Because let's be for real, yeah, we know in the first quarter they like to fill people out and get a sense of, okay, you know, fill out their bodies, fill out their speed, you know, fill people out so that they can gain more control down the stretch. But this, I don't know, man, this game was on the coaching staff for me. And I don't know, I feel like they were pretty doomed anyway, just not having AG. If AG is in this game, if Cam is in this game, even if Chris is in this game, you know, Peyton doesn't have to. Peyton gets to play. Peyton and Spence get to play in that second lineup, and don't have to put all their energy into playing Dallas's starters. I think Chris would have did a good job on them hard, or maybe not, because you know the way he fights over screens is still not desirable. Um, but yeah, you know, it's a tough loss. It's a tough loss. They'll bounce back from it. Dallas goes up 2-0 on Denver. Denver has to play the Timberwolves Christmas night. Very last game on Christmas. Child, they're not going to win that game. If they're not going to win that game, and if they do, great. But the Timberwolves, they've been great lately. They've won, I think, the last 3 of their games. They've beat OKC. Who did they beat? They recently beat another. Oh, yeah, they beat the Knicks. It's not easy to beat the Knicks. The Knicks is like top, one of the top teams in the East. They've been playing really good. They made it to the in-season tournament final with the Spurs. So Timberwolves just beat the Knicks. They beat OKC, so I'm pretty sure that's just a great confidence booster for them. I don't know who's not going to be in the Timberwolves game. I don't know, dude. Missing AG, Naz Reid is going to give us hell. I don't know if Jaden McDaniels, did he play in the Timberwolves game? I'm not sure if he played in the Timberwolves game. Let me see here. Let me see here. Julius. Okay. So Jaden McDaniels didn't play, and he might still be out for Christmas. If he is, that might be helpful. For us to secure a win. But if it gets to a point, oh Lord, Anthony Edwards, he's just going out his mind. We don't have the manpower. We don't have the manpower to contest Julius Randle, I don't think. Dante is going to be a problem. So it's just going to be interesting. I don't expect us to win. But we shall see. Maybe I just have to be more optimistic. But anyway, this has been a long video, longer than usual. Let's see here. Longer than usual. I generally like to keep it under 30 minutes, but I mean, just what a game, dude. What a game. They'll remember this. Peyton will remember this, and he will bounce back. So I think it's going to be one of those things that sting with you for a long time, but it's going to be a reminder to just keep putting that work in so that you don't have to feel that pain again. Okay. So anyway, Christmas coming up. I'll be with family, so I'm not sure when I will upload a video for that one. But until then, you all have a happy holidays, and I will see you again. Till next time. Have a good one.